everybody. Welcome to Woolen Spinning. My name is Rachel, and I want to welcome you to this place. I only have these ones. I don't know where the thing is. James was just asking for headphones, and I don't know where the cord is. Is the cord over there? Do you want to see if you can find it? Okay. Sorry, everybody. A little bit of a rocky start. My name is Rachel. It is episode 246. Welcome to Woolen Spinning. If you are new here and you're just checking out the podcast for the first time, welcome. I hope that you find something here that you are looking for and that you love. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And if you don't mind taking a moment to like and subscribe, I would really appreciate that. And if you're a patron of the show, you guys hold a very special place in my heart. Thank you for your ongoing support of the show and for the work that we do here and for the teaching content that we produce every month, that I produce every month. I just want to say thank you so much for doing that and for supporting the show. We are on summer vacation. We have actually been on summer vacation now for a month. Our kids get out of school earlier and they go back later, and their schoolwork gets crunched into a 9-month calendar year instead of a 10-month calendar year. So the kids are home and they are doing well. They're thriving. They were at their tutors this morning working on a novel study. They're doing a novel study this month with her, and they've got math tonight. So we do other stuff sort of to augment and supplement. So they sort of have this hybrid system that has been working really well for us. So the kids are in and out, and they're not used to me live streaming anymore while they're home. So this summer will be a really good opportunity for them to kind of practice and get used to it again. So it's really good to see everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I said to the kids when we were eating breakfast that I was actually really nervous about the live stream today because I feel like I'm really out of practice. It's been 2 weeks and I felt like I would mess up or that I wouldn't remember how to do it, but it's like riding a bike, and you guys know that. And of course, we've done this so much that there is kind of a piece of this that is not, it's routine, and I know sort of what I need to do and how to do it, but there is a piece of it where it just feels very natural now, and I know what I need to do to get ready and what I need to do sort of when we get to this point where we're actually like streaming. So it feels good, and it's good to be here. So welcome to Dagmar, and Charlotte is here, Rebecca, Sharon, Janet, Vicky, Kelly. Kelly, it's so good to see you in the chat and to see your lovely comments again, because of course you've had a newborn and you've been a wee bit crazy with that. So it's good to have you back. Dana and Glenda, welcome. And Julie, Kelly, that's our other Kelly. Dion, Christine, Ruth, Tessa, it's good to see you. And Brittany, Mandy, Jenny, Lisa, everybody's here, the whole crew. It's so good to see you guys. Lisa has offered to host Weaving Group this coming Friday morning. So for those who are part of the Slack channel and who would like to either join a Weaving Group or are part of the group already, Lisa has stepped in. And on the Friday mornings that Lisa can't host, Glenda will host. So there's no pressure there. And hopefully Laureline will be able to go back to hosting in the fall, which was what she was doing before. But of course, we'll just kind of keep it running, and whomever's around to host it can host it. So if you don't know about that and you are a part of the Slack channel, it's under the channel #Weaving. So for those who are interested. And Jenny, I hope that your camping trip went really well. I hope that you guys had a really lovely time away. What do I have to report on? So we had the last live stream was 2 weeks ago. The kids had a year-end finish up for their school and they had a big picnic. They had a blast, and we've basically been home. I don't think we've really done anything like special. It's been really nice. Isn't that terrible? Let's not do anything. It'll be perfect. I'm obviously feeling a lot better and doing well. I got some rest. I got over my cold. I was sick basically for the entire month of June. If you have emailed me, if you have asked me anything and you need a response, I am slowly catching up. So I am getting there. It's just taking time. Yes, it was a lovely picnic. And you know what the teachers did? So it's a small group of kids in each class. It's about 10 to 12 per class that the kids are in, and there's splits, K1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7. And the kids see all of the different teachers for some of their electives. Anyways, our kids, as well as several other families, are completely 100% plant-based, and some of the families are ethical vegans. And so there's like a real mix of families. There's 2 families are halal, and 1 family is kosher, and then there's several families who are plant-based or vegan, and then there's kind of the conventional. Everybody else is sort of what I would call conventional diet. The teachers, as a group, went above and beyond to make sure that there was something for everybody. So there was halal food, there was kosher food, which the nice thing is generally you can kind of offer the same thing and it'll kind of be a catch-all for both. And so they had like separate things so that they weren't touching any of the other food. So they did that. And then they had plant-based stuff for all of the other kids who were plant-based or vegan, and then all the conventional food. It was so lovely that they thought about everybody and they included everyone. It was really, really nice. Jenny says, glad to hear you sounding like yourself again. Thank you. Yes, nasty colds. They are brutal. Brutal. And the kids have had a couple of headaches, which is not like them, over the last probably month. They've each had one, and it's just this cold. Like I had a headache the whole time, and it just makes you feel so, What else? Oh, Christine, a girl of my own heart. She said, we're over halfway through the year, and I realized the other day that I don't actually have an FO for this year yet. So for those who don't know what an FO is, that's a finished object. Christine, I'm right there with you, honey. I have like nothing to show. And I've just decided to make peace with it because I don't have to make a thing and finish a thing to help you guys learn and to help you on your journey. So that's where I'm at. That's my new philosophy. Last year, I feel like our word of the year as a family was pivot. Everything was like, yep, we're pivoting. We'd be like doing something and then it's like, okay, we're going to pivot. All year it was pivot, pivot, pivot. This year for 2022, our word has become flexible. We're going to be flexible. Everything is about being flexible. Dion, that makes me feel better. She says she only has 2.5 FOs. I appreciate it. I love that you have half of an FO. It's like having a half a child, 2.5 kids and the dog. How do you have 0.5 kids? 0.5 FOs. I love that. And Christine says part of the reason why she has no FOs is because she's been busy support spindling. Me too, friend. Me too. Okay, so in today's show, I've got some progress to share with you on my OHS Unit 3. The reason why I'm including it in the show is because I have not had an opportunity to record it separately for a Welford Weaves episode. So we'll do that today. As you can see, I've got my support spindles out here, and I do have a skein of singles finished up that I just thought I would sort of share with you quickly. The cotton content has gone out for July, so it's in the process of being released. Remember, it comes out sort of, it's dripped out over the course of the first few weeks of the month. And for those who have been in the Studious Spinner and virtual spin group over the last X number of weeks, months, years, if you guys could please make sure that you've edited your pledges down to queries or wherever you want to settle out. And for those who are not in queries and would like to be in queries, there are some spots available. Lots of changes with Patreon at the moment. I sent out a post for patrons of the show. You guys know what's going on behind the scenes. And for those who are interested in queries, we are meeting this coming Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific. And I think, Joni, I owe you an email. I will email you if you're watching this week. I will respond to your question that you had in that email that you sent after the live stream. So I think that's everything. So I wanted to do the June giveaway because we're now into July. And if people could think in the chat, if you guys could come up with a prompt for July, that would be great. Let me know what you think would be a great question to ask our community. You guys always come up with awesome stuff. Actually, it's too bad Eve isn't here or isn't here yet, because she always comes up with great ones too. So for June, I asked you guys what the hardest thing you've ever done in your making has been. And through random number generator, Robin responded and said, I think the hardest thing that I've ever done in my making, it was a Drops baby sweater. I had never knit a sweater with traditional construction before. The instructions assumed that you knew what you were doing, and to make my life more difficult, I was using the measurement from one size and the stitch count for another. It took literally years to complete, but because I kept putting it in timeout. That sounds very hair-raising, Robin. Thank you for sharing. I have had sweaters like that myself, and I know that they can be really stressful. So if you could send me your address, Robin, and I haven't done it yet, but from May, I was going to make up a thing of roll eggs for Amanda, who won last month, and then we'll do a second one for you, Robin, to send out for June. So just send me your mailing address. I'm having issues with the mail right now. Me and UPS are, because I ordered the lock pop back in beginning of May. It was right after the spindling workshop that my friend Diana taught, and my friend Marjorie was like, she was showing me hers, and I got all excited about it. It still hasn't come. So it got picked up for customs fees, which just doesn't even seem fair. And so I had to pay those, and then it kind of got just stuck in like processing. And so we had paid the import fees, the custom fees, but then they never actually like processed to say, yes, they've been paid, you can deliver it now. So I'm waiting for that. And then I have another delivery that just has never shown up. And so I had to deal with that. And then another one that's just kind of been in transit for an inordinate amount of time, but they say that it's coming tomorrow. So we'll see. It's shoes for the kids. I needed summer shoes for both of them. Couldn't get their sizes locally at the store that we shop at. So they're like, no problem, just order them online and they'll ship them. That was like a month ago. So super frustrating. You know how sometimes you just kind of get in those jams. And then I have a new to me, which way do I go? New to me wheel. This is my rose. My friend Lindsay gave it to me. It was very, very generous of her. It came with a woolly winder, a standard woolly winder, a jumbo woolly winder, a jumbo plying head, a jumbo like head setup, which I'll talk about when I share these singles with you. And then the conventional kind of stuff that you would associate with like just the Magicraft when you buy it stock. So I'll tell you a little bit about that when we talk about this yarn. Yes, I did get it, Jenny. So now we're like true wheel twins. You, me, and Samantha, and I think there's a couple other people. I know Dion has the Aura. Anyway, so I now have the Magicraft Susie Pro, and then I now have the Rose. So, but this Rose, same as my Susie Pro, are first generation wheels. So they were like the first version of the Magicraft ever put out for both of them. So they are not new, and they're kind of the first gen. So a little bit different. Oh, Jackie, you and I are in the same boat. So she said, I'm in Australia and I've been waiting for delivery from Canada for over a month. I guess I'll be a bit more patient. I think sometimes it's almost like things just kind of get stuck. I know I sent some stuff to Florence a few years ago in New Zealand, and like 6 months later it showed up, and her and I were like, well, at least it got there. So it's funny how that happens. Yes, we are definitely wheel twins, Jenny. She says her Rose is also a first generation. They do change over time. Like the old Susie Pro, the drive wheel was quite a bit heavier, and then they rejigged it and changed it a little bit, and now it's a little bit different. So like my Susie Pro is quite a bit heavier than if you bought the Susie Pro now. So just some changes. Lisa says, I've been waiting for coffee for 10 days. It's making me crabby. The lack of coffee, or the lack of caffeine, or drinking other coffee, waiting for the good coffee. All of that sounds like it's grumpiness in the making. What else? I think that's everything. So let's run the credits. Did anybody come up with a really great prompt for July? Maybe we should do some reflections about Tour de Fleece. If you guys could share in the comments section over on Patreon, what you're spinning for Tour de Fleece. Even if you're not participating this time round, if you were to participate, what would you want to spin and get done in that 3 weeks? We're not doing a team this year, but I will share in community participation what people are working on for the tour. So if you were going to sort of spin, if you don't know what Tour de Fleece is, it's a big sort of community-wide spin along for the spinning community. It's a really fun time on Instagram because Instagram basically blows up with all of these spins in progress. And if you were going to do Tour de Fleece, or if you are participating in Tour de Fleece, or if you've done it in the past, what are your favorite kinds of projects to spin for Tour de Fleece? So share that in the comment section on Patreon. And you do not need to be a patron to participate. Just share. Join in and share away. I am sorry if there's banging and background noise. They are doing construction next door. It's been going on for weeks. We have no idea what they're doing because their backyard doesn't look any different. But there is banging, so I'm sorry. I hope the microphone's not picking up on it too much. All right, I will see you guys on the other side. So I wanted to mention before we go into the stuff that I wanted to share with you that's kind of in progress. As you can see, I have not been working on very much over the last couple of weeks. I have nothing on the needles. I have no knits in progress whatsoever. For the first time in quite a long time, like I would say years, maybe 10 years or more, I have nothing in progress on my knitting needles, and I've just embraced it. I don't feel inspired. I haven't come across anything that I've been excited to knit or excited to work on, so I've just left it. I've just given myself the grace of not doing anything. And then the other thing is I haven't had a lot of chances to sit at my spinning wheels because we've just been out. We've been doing stuff. We had my mom's birthday. The kids had their picnic. They've had tutoring. I can't take a wheel to tutoring and sit in the car. So I've been working on my support spindles. So I've been spinning, but I haven't been like working on my wheels. And I find I can make a lot more and spin a lot more if I have access to my wheels. So it's just a little bit different. The one thing I wanted to mention was, and it's gone. It was on the tip of my tongue and now I forget. Oh, Erica, it's good to see you. I hope you're feeling well. I've been thinking about you. Yeah, so let's talk about support spindles. It'll come back to me at some point. So what I've been doing is I've been dragging my support spindle. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. Cotton. This sitting here, I knew it would remind me and it would prompt me. So for what we've been doing for the last 3 months, and this is the third and final month. So if you've been kind of saving up and saving the content to work your way through all in one fell swoop, it's in the process of being sort of slowly released. So we've been looking at cotton for the last 3 months. So the first month we looked at spinning on a wheel. We talked about some of the history. We sort of did a very brief history of cotton, where it came from, why we love it so much. And then that was in May. And then in June, we looked at spinning on a tackly. We talked a little bit more about cotton properties. And then this month for July, we are spinning raw cotton. So we're looking at spinning it from the bowl, separating it out and getting it ready to spin. And then I actually ended up spinning, because of my friend Leanne, I ended up spinning it on my Lundrum Saxony, because I'm not sure if you can see, but you see right there the flyer that's on it in the bobbin. See how small it is? It's the very, very fast flyer. It's a separate attachment. I had put it on the Lundrum and gotten it up and running one day during queries, because Leanne and I were talking about it and talking about how fast it was and whether or not I could get it working on mine. So the content for July includes spinning at the wheel with that. And this is actually just a little taster, a little sampler of what I was able to create. And over here, it got really consistent. I was really proud of this. I thought that was pretty incredible for using that flyer the first time and at the same time tackling cotton on it. So that content is up and coming. So our 3-month kind of deep dive into cotton is coming to an end at the end of this month. And then in August, we will look at sort of an overall reflection on knitting with and weaving with cotton and flax, and turning flax into fabric, which becomes linen at that point. So I am working on that, writing it, doing a little bit of sampling, and that's all coming up in August. And then that'll kind of round out and finish off this sort of 6-month deep dive into flax and cotton, because we hadn't really done that before. And so I thought it was prudent to kind of, look at these fibers and go through them together as a group. And then in September, we'll be going into what I did and am doing with the breed and color study. And that's Radnor. And that's a year-long study that we're doing. We're looking at the braids and the carded prep that Katrina had made for us. And that's sort of what will round out September, October, and I think November, if my memory serves. And then come the new year, we're going to do something a little bit different with the teaching content next year. I have a book that I've chosen, and we are going to bite off each month a chapter of the book and do sort of a deep dive into color. Spinning with color, working with color, planning projects and using color. And if you guys would like to join in with me and would like to do sort of an along with me, it'll be kind of like 51 Yarns, but with a different book. And we'll work on that throughout the 12 months of the year. And we'll start in January and we'll finish up in December. And I think it'll be really nice to do that 51 Yarns idea again. But with a different book. I really enjoyed that, and it's something for me to look forward to as well. So that'll be coming. So if anybody has any questions, let me know. Ruth, the cotton content is for all patrons from the sort of the spinning circle up, which you are a part of. You just have to go to Patreon and click on the published posts, and you can also get them through the indexes. Is this the right one? Let me just double check the links. This is for November. Ketchup and Pickles, for some reason, is taking you to the November one, so I will update that after the live stream. But everything is, the June Ketchup and Pickles is here. I'll throw it for you in the live chat, Ruth, and you can find all the links there. So I'm not totally sure what the book we're going to do yet is, Glenda. I'm kind of still working on that. Thank you for asking. I'm kind of torn between two, but it will be doing color. And it's a book that'll be like relatively easily accessible, that you even yeah. So I haven't said what the book is because I'm just torn between two and I'm still making a decision. So I'll make the announcement in the fall so that you guys can get, like, if you don't already have it, you'll get a chance to get the book. So I just haven't quite gotten there yet. So, what else? Okay, so I think that's it for that stuff. That's kind of housekeeping that I wanted to go over. So, there I am. Hello, hello. I know you guys could hear me, but you couldn't see me before. So in terms of my support spindles, this is, just to kind of give you guys an idea, this is my silly salmon. He's having some, I think it's arthritis, maybe you guys can help me out, issues. So there aren't as many spindles posted on the website, and there aren't as many, like, he's just not making very many right now. I sincerely hope that he's feeling better and that he's able to get making again, because my goodness, this is probably my favorite spindle. They're just incredible, and I've been spinning a lot on it. So you can see that I've kind of starting to build up my cop on this one and really using it. And then this is my Woodland Handcrafts, and there's a little owl peeking out in there. Can you guys see that? And it's green. Crystal in our community has one too, and her little owl is red. They're just the cutest thing. I have to say, when I first got this spindle, the Woodland Handcraft spindle, it wasn't my favorite. I didn't love it. I found the shaft was a bit too long. It was a bit too tall. If you look at these two side by side, it's a good inch and a half longer. And it wasn't my favorite. I built the cop on it and I found it slippery and it kept lifting up. And I talked to Angela about it, to Ange, Rainbow Ange. She's at Yarn and Yarns on YouTube. And she was talking about like really wrapping the cop quite tightly and making sure that it's stuck. My friend Diana, same thing, Diana Twist, 100milewear.com. And I just thought, I'm going to give it another go. I'm sure it's just me as a learner and as a beginner. I've been using all my other support spindles. The more I use them, the more comfortable I get. And so I did two things. Number one, I wrapped the cop tighter. And I kind of made sure that it started to bell out a bit more rather than trying to wrap up and down the shaft. Because when I first did it, it was quite long. The cop was quite long and it went all the way down and all the way up. And it just created this kind of slippery slope of it wanting to move. And the second thing that I did was I took ultra fine gauge sandpaper. You guys can see where this is going. And I very, very gently roughed up the outside edge. Because one of the things that I love about my Allen Berry spindles, which I will show you, is that the shaft itself is a little bit rougher. It's not quite as smooth. So when you look here, the shaft is just a little bit rougher and it's not quite as slick as the Woodland Handcrafts one. And so I thought that one works really well. I really like it. So I'm going to just modify my Woodland Handcrafts slightly. And now it's one of my favorite spindles. So Win. This is Allen Berry. He does these hand carved wooden spindles. They're absolutely beautiful, worth every penny. I love how they spin. And this project that I've been spinning for upwards of eons is my 100% carded Cormo from my friend Liz at, well, I bought it originally from Sarah Elizabeth Fiberworks here in Nelson, British Columbia. And then my friend Liz at Kingdom Fleece and Fiber carded it all up for me. So this was over a pound of wool when I started. And this bag, just for context, this bag was full to overflowing, completely stuffed, and it was absolutely full. And I am down to just this little bit that's left. I mean, it's not a tiny, tiny bit. There's still a couple of ounces here, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So this is my bag full of bobbins of me winding off all of the spindles. And I was really hoping that by today and by today's show, I would have a sample of a 2-ply, a 3-ply, and a 4-ply yarn, because I'm still not sure how I'm going to ply this, but I just didn't get a chance. So maybe by next show. Christine says her Silly Salmon is her favorite as well. They're just awesome, awesome spindles. Becca says my fave spindles have a matte finish on the shaft. Love that bit of texture for grip. I totally agree. And would you say, Becca, too, that when you go to flick it, it gives your finger something to flick against, like when you actually go to flick? And I've also been finding that if I lick, it's not really COVID friendly, but if I lick the tip of my thumb and then flick, it's easier on my hand because I get that little bit of traction, that little bit of friction, and I get that lovely spin without having to really work my thumb hard, because I did get that little bit of strain in my thumb muscle, in the muscle down here, when I first started support spindling. And I know it's the muscle memory and just working yourself up to it and whatnot, but I found just licking my thumb helped a lot just for the grip. The other thing is I was in a store called Toy Traders, which is a locally owned shop here where I live. It's one of those like eclectic toy stores that no matter what happens in the market, whether, you know, Toys R Us is going out of business or they're moving or Mastermind Toys is coming in, because we have quite a few toy stores here where I live, which is unusual. And because so many people buy online, you'd think that they wouldn't be able to survive. Anyways, Toy Traders is one of those stores that's just always been there. It was there when I was a kid. It's still there. It's still equally eclectic. They've got these crazy displays of toys, antique and vintage toys all over the store. The kids love going in there. Anyhow, you'll never guess what I found. This random little, like, porcelain bowl. There were only 2. I almost went back and bought the second one because they're so pretty. But it is like the creme, it was $2. So like I broke the bank, and it is like the creme de la creme for like support spindling bowls. It's just amazing. Who would have thought? So Nora was like, she was like, why are you buying that, Mama? And I was like, because it's like the best support spindling bowl ever. So I got this little, it's so pretty. And I totally could have gone back and gotten the other one. They would be perfect little sushi bowls for soy sauce. Like it's like the perfect size. Anyways, I bet you if I went back, it wouldn't be there. But it's just awesome. Works beautifully. How many yards can you get on your spindles? You know, I'm not really sure, Kim. And the only reason is because I haven't weighed them, and I haven't weighed them and then taken off the singles. Usually it just gets to the point where, especially with some of my heavier spindles, like my Mirkwood, or my Allen Berries, they just get too heavy to spin. The spin on them, like to push them to get them going, starts to kind of just cause a little bit of strain on my thumb, and I'm like, okay, I'm good. It's full. Time to wind off. So I've never really like weighed them and measured them and done any kind of like scientific experiment. I probably should. This one is not full. Like this will go for a while yet. But yeah, I'll try and pay attention, or maybe take some photos of what they look like before I wind them off next time. I don't think I have any of my most recent ones where I wound off my Mirkwood. I'm pretty sure I don't have photos of that, but I'll just check right now and see if I do. Just because you guys are here, and no, I don't. Unless I put it under spindling. No, not there. No, I don't have any recent photos, but next time, before I wind them off, I'll snap a quick photo for you guys. When I was in Guatemala, I looked all over for a small spinning bowl and found one. That's awesome, Dion. I never like buy coffee, and I certainly never buy Starbucks, but the kids had camp this morning, and I was stuck because I couldn't come home. It's an hour and a half, and it's a half-hour drive to get there. So I went and sat at Starbucks. I'm gonna do the same thing tomorrow and the same thing on Thursday. It's just 3 days. It's with their tutor for a book club. They're doing a book club with their English literacy tutor. So that's it for that project. And I'll talk a little bit more about our summer spindle spin along that we've got going. We did it last summer. It was Spindle Spun Summer. And this year we're kind of calling it Spindle Spun Summer, Spindle Spun Stitches. It's kind of been ongoing along. But for this summer specifically, please make sure to share all of your spindling photos. And I've been carrying around this little bag with the current support spindles and spindles actually, because it's my little kapar that I've been working on as well, but it's not my favorite compared to my support spindles. I've really fallen in love with my support spindles. I've been carrying everything around in my little tote bag everywhere, and if I get a few minutes and I'm sitting, I just spindle. And that's how I've been steadily making such great progress. So please continue to work on it. The official along will end on the eve of the fall equinox. And please share in the Slack channel, hashtag Spindle Spun Stitches. So in that channel, on the Ravelry group under Spindle Spun Stitches / Spindle Spun Summer. And of course on Instagram, hashtag Woolen Spinning, so that I can see what you're working on. And I will do some prizes and stuff for Spindle Spun Summer. I think we should do one for like the most yardage, at least one prize for that, because I think, yeah, I think it would be kind of fun to actually celebrate that, because normally we don't do like a competitive thing when we do alongs, but I think it would be really fun to do like a who spun the most yardage for Spindle Spun Stitches this year for Spindle Spun Summer. They are addictive, Crystal. Yes, yes. Yes, Lisa, I hear you. Not my favorite either. So these are the singles, the newest singles that I've pulled off. So far I have done, this is about 720 yards of singles. And this is all part of a bigger weaving project that I'm sort of slowly working on. And the more that I work on it, the closer I am to sort of being able to start some sampling and do some sampling. So this is organic Polworth. I had 1.3 pounds of it. It was like 1.266 or something pounds. And this is what I have left. It's actually still like a fair amount. This will still probably be 2 more skeins. Probably each 700 yards. So I'm going to end up with like 4,000 yards of yarn, which might actually end up being a bit too much for the project, but maybe I could do multiple pieces of fabric. So these are the yarns. So there's another one of these somewhere, but this is washed and finished. Remember last time I showed you guys the one skein that was washed and finished and one skein that was not. So this is now washed and finished. It wasn't finished last time. So remember how it looked like doll's hair and you guys were like, oh my goodness, that's not what I thought they would look like. And you know, I would think that that was over twisted and whatnot. And I said, no, it'll come out in the wash. And this is after the washing. So you see how that just all came out, all that kind of doll's hair look. I loved that. I thought that was a really great way to explain what it looks like. So this is washed and finished. This was about 800 and something yards of organic Polworth. And like I said, it's singles. The whole thing is singles. Come on, camera. Focus. Or not. James was playing around with my camera. And there we go. And bless his heart, he did something to the settings. And so Mike and I are going to have to fix it because it doesn't focus as quickly as it should. Like it should focus as quickly as this camera. And it's not. So, oh, when 10-year-old boys get into things that they don't know about and they think that they do. And then this one wasn't washed and finished last time and now it is. So it's still a little bit twisty. Maybe I didn't finish it. It doesn't feel finished. Oh yeah, it's finished. So it's a little bit twisty still, but this will come out. The plan was to warp up 1 pick of this, and I'll bring it over here to the camera over here in just a minute. Now this isn't focusing. It just seems to be really delayed and really slow. So I'm gonna have to fix it. Anyhow, so basically what I'm gonna be doing is the fabric will be one pick when I'm warping, one end of this, one end of this throughout the warping. So I'll be holding 2 ends at once and warping sort of 1 and 1. And that will give me when I'm threading and slaying the reed. So if you were doing this on a rigid heddle, for example, I would be threading, like if I was on a rigid heddle, I would just switch yarns every single time. So I'd, do this, then this, then this, then this. Whereas if I warp on a warping board. So on the warping board, I'll hold these 2 ends together and warp them. And then when I'm threading, the threading will be pretty straightforward. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll just make sure that I'm alternating. So 1 white, 1 colored, 1 white, 1 colored, all the way across in the threading. So it'll be 1 and 3 will be white and 2 and 4 will be colored, just for example. And then when I'm slaying the reed, same thing, following that pattern. And then in the weft will all be white, hence needing an inordinate amount of yardage of the white. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. This is going to be an experiment to start with. I'm not going to do anything with it right off the bat. I thought that what I would do is actually pull out my Zoom loom and do a little tester sample. It'll be a little bit fiddly to get that 1 pick, 1 pick, 1 pick, but I think it'll work really well to see what it looks like before I commit to a bigger project, because I only have this skein and there is more sheep, there is more yarn, I can get more skeins, I don't have to worry about it, but I just want to have an idea of what it looks like. I tried to get the sample done for today so that I could show you guys. It didn't get done. So maybe by next show. As you can see, nothing is getting done. The other thing that's happening in the background here is that is the house renos. I've mentioned them before. So the entire upstairs of our house is in the process of being ripped out. And while that's in process, we're going to do the office at the same time, because right here next to me is a huge window, and that's being taken out in about 3 weeks and being converted to a French door. So all of this has to go back into the office to clear the area for the workmen to come in. And so we're going to be moving by our next stream. We'll be back in the office. So there's lots going on, and I've been putting things away, and that's part of the reason why I haven't done anything. So lots to talk about. I wanted to talk really quickly about the jumbo bobbin and the jumbo head that I did this on the jumbo because this one I had done on the conventional setup that I always use on my Magicraft Susie. So both of these were spun on my Magicraft Susie. Both were done on the same ratio. But it's interesting because on the Susie, I put because everything's interchangeable from the Rose to the Susie. I put the jumbo bobbin with the delta orifice. So that's the triangle at the front of the orifice. I'm just going to grab the wheel. And I'm actually going to take it off. So just give me 2 seconds while I talk. You guys can listen while I talk. But I hadn't used this setup before. I hadn't used the jumbo head and this particular setup before. I've used the Delta Flyer before, which I took off my wheel as soon as I got it and put on an orifice, a proper orifice, what I consider a proper orifice. Anyhow, this is what it looks like, and this is it here. So this is where your brake band goes back here, and then you've got your delta here. And you know, it's interesting because the whole time that I was spinning this, I felt like I was fighting with it a little bit, and I just couldn't quite get the tension right. And it was either pulling too much or it wasn't pulling enough. And I did eventually get it right, but as the bobbin got heavier, I had to tweak it. And it just wasn't my most favorite thing for spinning singles. I find these big bobbins and these big flyers, there's a lot of momentum needed. And this is really light compared to some of them out there. But for me personally, I prefer the more conventional setup, and I actually prefer the smaller bobbins and the smaller flyers. So more often than not on my Susie, I have my lace setup with the baby bobbins. Not the fat core bobbins, but the lace. I think they're called the lace bobbins. If Laureline was here, she'd be able to tell me. She can keep all this stuff straight. So this, I am going to do more of the singles spinning for this project. I'm not going to continue and do the rest of it with this flyer and this bobbin. I'm going to save this for when I'm plying. Although now I have the woolly winder set up on the Rose. So I will report back about that as well and how I like it and all of that kind of stuff. So lots of things that I'm thinking about, but I didn't love the jumbo bobbin. The other thing too is that because the jumbo bobbin is the guides are quite small, like they're bigger than say on the conventional flyer, but they're not that big. I'm not sure that these would be better than my Lendrum Jumbo flyer for textured yarns, because my Lendrum Jumbo is like, of all of the ones I've tried thus far, for me personally, it's been my favorite and it's been the best. So I'll report back. I will report back. Yeah, the nice thing is with this, so Christine said I have the jumbo bobbin and flyer on my Ashford Traveler, and if it's on anything other than the lowest ratio, it feels like a proper leg workout. So that's kind of like what my jumbo flyer on my Lendrum is like, but it's perfect because that you want that slow speed when you're doing textured yarns because you need the time to do the thing and to make the thing. Whereas with the I'm trying to get the camera to focus. Whereas with the with this spinning, it didn't feel any heavier or anything. It just was getting the tension. I just couldn't get the tension quite right. So just not my favorite. I do prefer the conventional sized bobbins and flyers. And I did find that with this yarn, the bobbin was about 3/4 of the way full, and I was like, I'm good. That's perfect. That's a good size, that'll be a good size skein. I'm gonna skein this off, wash it, finish it, move on to the next one and put the other flyer and bobbin on. So Yeah, thank you, Helene. Helene, she says, I can't wait to see the sample. So it's the sample of this fabric that I'm doing. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Jackie says, love that gray green. Vicky says, very pretty. This was 2 different colorways too. Like the one colorway had the darker green and the other one had the red in it, but they both had that teal blue. So I think it'll tie it all together. It'll look very cohesive. I think it'll be actually quite nice once it's done. So yeah. Lisa says, I feel like such a, I can't say the word on the podcast or I'll get kicked off of YouTube, but I feel like a bad blank with my giant skeins. Sam says my Rosie has a different jumbo flyer, which is not the Delta. I love it for plying and thicker yarns. That's great, Sam. And I could actually order from Magikrafт. I could order the one that has the conventional orifice. I just don't think it's worth it for what I'm doing. But it's something to keep in mind for sure. And now that I have the jumbo woolly winder, the conventional woolly winder, the jumbo flyer, and then all the conventional flyers and the lace flyers, I think I'm good. Good enough. I don't need any more. No, I don't like the Delta flyer. Get a conventional flyer. You want the one with the orifice. It's beauty. Beauty. Okay, weaving. Okay, so this is for my Unit 3. So this is for the Ontario Hand Weavers and Spinners Master Weaver program. Normally I would put this part of the show and this content in a separate show that's called Welford Weaves, but I just haven't been able to get onto the camera and record it. So I thought I'm going to throw it in here, and if I get a supplement recorded, maybe more towards the end of this unit, then I can release it then. But basically for the finger manipulated lace, oh, and I got my Unit 2 back. I'm very happy with the results and what I got and the amount of work that I put into it. So that's done. It's off my plate. It feels really good to be done. So for the Unit 3, it's finger manipulated lace. So we're looking at a 100% linen warp, about 96 ends. I made my warp about just over 5 yards so that I could do all of my samples, my original samples, and my transparency. So for this unit, you have to do 5 technique samples where you're learning how to do the thing, the techniques. You do 5 original variations based on each of those techniques. So you do your lino, and then you do your original variation of lino, and then you do your Mexican lace, and then you do your original Mexican lace, and so on. And it's getting you to start thinking about designing and you know, how to approach a piece of fabric, what it is that you would want to do with that fabric. Would it be a border? Would it be a feature? What would you use it for? That kind of stuff. And then after you do those 10 samples, then you do a transparency where you take your set and you open it right up. So you pull it out of the reed, and you can do this whole unit can be done on rigid heddle, which is really awesome. So you pull it out of your reed and you reslay it so that it's wider and bigger, and so that there's more space, more negative space. And then, so it'll go from 16 ends per inch down to 12 ends per inch. So it'll be gauzy and open. So think like wall hangings and curtains, that kind of stuff. And thank you so much, you guys. Yeah, congratulations on Unit 2. I was very happy with how I did. I was really nervous submitting it. I felt like there was a few things that weren't my best work, but I was really, really happy with the results. And so for Unit 3, and this is worth 50% of your mark. Every single one of these units is out of 100. So you've got your samples, your original samples, your tapestry, and then 50% of your mark is a wall hanging. So taking all of these samples that are flashing through on the screen, and these are just snippets and bits and pieces, taking all of that and then making a brand new warp, designing the warp, putting all of your ideas into action basically, and making a wall hanging. And that's also done in linen. So my wall hanging will be done in 16-2 linen, line linen, because that's what I bought for the samples, and I don't really want to buy more linen because I already bought linen for the transparency. And And so I've sort of worked through my first 10 samples. So I've done the 5 technique samples. And then this is just an example of my original lino samples. So I've been playing with beads, different colors of the linen, putting in different yarns. This actually is just straight linen, straight flax, linen fabric, flax yarn for our August content. So I had enough warp that I could actually do a few samples of weaving with just 100% flax for a linen fabric. And then we'll talk in August about some different finishing techniques and what that does to the fabric, which is kind of exciting. And then that final sample that just went by is actually my hand spun. And that's one of my goals with the OHS, with all of the units, is to work in as much as possible wherever I can my hand spun. So my focus for my final project and my final submission for level 18 will be my hand spun and weaving with my hand spun, whatever that looks like. And so this is an opportunity. Every single one of these units is an opportunity for me to feature my hand spun and work with my hand spun as much as possible to keep working it in. I had a really interesting email the other day about somebody, they're working on it as a guild, all of the OHS levels and units, and she had a couple of questions and would I be willing to answer them? So I emailed her back and said, you know, I can help. I'm not an OHS representative. Like, I'm not on the board. I don't work for the OHS. It's all volunteer, but you know what I mean? I don't volunteer for them. I'm just participating and doing the program. But if anybody has any questions about the doing of it in terms of like the personal, like what it looks like for me personally working on it, like a good example is right now I'm working on unit 3. So like I can't work on anything else. That's why there's nothing major for me to share with you that I'm personally working on for the podcast. And I've got this project and I've got this project and this knit in progress and this and this and this. It's just doing something like this has completely changed my making life and what my making time looks like. So if anybody has any questions about some of that, I'm more than happy to talk about it and to speak to it. And the other piece of that is Debbie Held wrote a great article for the School of Sweet Georgia about why do some of these programs and some of these master's certificates and what the purpose is. And, you know, for me personally, it's really been about my own growth and my own learning. Will I teach weaving eventually? I don't know. Will I focus on it eventually? I don't know. Am I really enjoying it? Yes. With the caveat that it's a huge amount of work and it pulls you away from some of the other things that you may or may not want to work on. And so as part of that, there comes this conversation. Hi, Pauline. As part of that comes a conversation around like, what do you want to spend your time on? What do you want to focus on? What are your long-term goals? What are your short-term goals? One of the assignments that I had to do for Unit 2 cost $30. Just that assignment alone. That one page on that one piece of paper in the binder was $30 Canadian. So you have to also think about, do you want to spend the money? And is it something that fits into the larger picture for you? And if not, there's other ways to go about this learning and acquire this knowledge without committing to a big program like this, or like some of the equivalents out there, Olds, HGA, GCW, like whether it's spinning or knitting, it doesn't, or spinning, knitting, or weaving, it doesn't matter which one. But do know that there's a lot. There's a lot going on in the background, but it's not necessarily stuff that is like shareable. Do you know what I mean? Long term, this stuff will get worked in with teaching content and knowledge sharing and shared experience and all that kind of stuff, but it's not necessarily stuff that you can share in real time. Like nobody really wants to hear about you playing around with the linen warp to get the tension just right and you tried all these different techniques and whatnot, because when you're actually working on a unit itself, like when you're actually immersed in it, you're not at master yet. So you're really technically not supposed to be sharing the nuances of some of that stuff except for with your study group, which is part of what the OHS offers for these units. So it's just stuff to think about. Like I don't want to be sitting here teaching this stuff until I submit it, get my mastery, and then I can speak to it. So I hope that makes sense. Erica says there's a lot to be said about doing something just for self-satisfaction of having it done. Totally. Charlotte says, this is why you don't have anything on the needles. You have so much going on in fibery pursuits. I do, Charlotte, you're absolutely right. And I think the other piece of that is I'm not feeling particularly inspired by a lot of my knitting right now. So because my focus is starting to shift a little bit, and I am shifting as a maker, as a person, what I want to focus on over the next 5 to 7 years, all of that is kind of shifting. And that's not to say I'll never knit a sweater again. It's just maybe not right this second, if that makes sense. Good to see you, Rebecca. I'm glad that you were able to be here for part of it. I think the piece with self-study though, and the reason for doing a program like this though, is that this gives you the structure. So even if you're not going to submit, even if you're not going to actually get your work marked, following a program like say the GCW or following the curriculum from Olds College, because it's all available online, at least it gives you a structure and something that you can work within. So I am doing this unit from a purely practical standpoint. I am doing this unit on my Louette Jane. I have the 40 centimeter, which I think is about a 18-inch wide weaving width. This sampling is about a 6-inch wide warp in the reed. It ends up weaving up to about 5 3/8 wide because of draw in. And I am having to watch my selvages quite closely to make sure that I don't get that massive draw in, like say with Brooks Bouquet. It's where you're wrapping your warp threads all the way across. It's really pretty. It literally looks like a bouquet of flowers. As you're wrapping across, it's really easy to pull too tightly where everything just comes in and it's like elastic. So lots of things to think about. This is Spanish lace here, and it's really hard to see because it's the same warp and weft. That's what the specifications are. But as you're working it, you become faster and you become more proficient. So yeah, so that is that. And I'll just give you guys a second before, just in case there's questions. Thank you, Erica. She says, wonderful weaving. Thank you so much. It's been fun to work through everything. Unit 2 was okay. It wasn't my favorite unit, but I enjoyed it. I got through it. But this I'm really enjoying because it's sort of back to the practical. It's back to the, using your knowledge and playing with knowledge, with your, what you've learned up to this date, which is really fun. This was me warping. That's our family room, which we spend a lot of time in. This is one of the rooms that's being renoed right now because we're redoing all the floors. So that dark hardwood is being pulled out. It's really badly damaged from the previous owners. So lots of stuff. All right, let's pivot into community participation. Okay, so all these people walking around the backyard at the house next door. So doing all that construction. I don't know what they're doing, like I said. So we have a ton of alongs going on in the community right now. These are just a sort of a handful of them. The biggest one to kind of highlight is the Spindle Spun Stitches or Spindle Spun Summer. So this is running as a very intentional along until the eve of the fall equinox, of the autumnal equinox. So do pay attention to that. If you're a spindle spinning, please go ahead and share. And the other one to draw attention to is our breeding color study, our Radnor study. I'm going to be starting to work on mine over the next week or so. And so I will be sharing more about that in the fall. I do have a project in mind for that. I am probably going to be using it for my GCW. When I say GCW, that stands for the Guild of Canadian Weavers, and that's for my master's certificate in that, because I haven't decided yet if I'm going to pursue my OHS or my GCW. So I'm kind of working on them concurrently when I get a chance. So I'm pretty sure that I'm going to use the yarns from our breeding color study for that project that I've been planning for a while. So that is the other one to kind of be paying attention to. We'll be wrapping that one up at the end of the year. Becca just started spinning hers. Rebecca's been working on hers. Julie's been working on hers. Who else? I'm missing people. This is why I should never name off names, because I always miss people. So those are the ones that I wanted to draw your attention to specifically. And like I said, we didn't do a Tour de Fleece team this year, but people have been sharing copious spinning on the Slack channel, which is awesome. Thank you so much. I just didn't have the bandwidth to be able to do the tour this year. I just had to let some things go, and that was one of them. So I didn't even offer, but I'm hopeful the next year we'll have a team. I have to help my throat. All right, so this is from our own community. This is from Sue. I've been working on this project for the last year, and finally I get to wear it. She's spinning from the Jacob sheep, dyed, blended, and spun last year, and then knit this year. So the Jacob study and these colors were part of our breeding color study from last year. So this was our study that we did back in the fall on Jacob, and Sue dyed the colors that Katrina had developed for the study, which is fantastic. And then look at this sweater. Oh, Sue, you did an amazing job. I love Sue's project. She always does an incredible job. And I know it's really hard to see, but the buttons match. It just makes my heart sing. So well done, Sue. This is from Julie, inspired by myself combing mohair with wool, and she combed out some kid mohair locks, then combined them together with some dark Jacob wool. Still playing. Here it is spun into a 2-ply, and she's just swatching it now. So if you have a look, I love that Julie will often share videos, and then you can really get a sense of like how that thing acted. And now that I've changed the format of community participation, I can start sharing the videos, which is awesome. So just beautiful spinning there, Julie. Lovely. Thank you so much for sharing that. This is from Pam. She's done 9 bobbins, finished and rewound and labeled. These are Corriedale. She wants more yardage than this, so she's going to be sampling it with one of the 3 plies from a gray Cormo that she's also been spinning. The skein is her experiment of 2 plies of Corrie and 1 ply of Cormo, and now she's off to knit and swatch with it. So this is part of Zero to Hero as well, which is our fiber to yarn to finished object, whatever that's knitting, weaving, whatever. So it'll be interesting to see when Pam reports back what her knitted swatch was like, because I think she's knitting. She's a knitter. So I'm very, very curious to see how this turns out. I think it'll be really, really lovely. I think the Cormo is going to give it lots of bounce and sproing, and the Corriedale will give it that it'll add that stability of that wear and tear and durability, but it's still super soft. I love Corriedale. It's like the unsung hero of the wool world. This is from Eva. I love these colors, Eva. Just beautiful job. At the beginning of the year, I started spinning up a huge bunch of fiber, some variegated, some hand painted, to have a stash to knit colorful sweaters. I planned on spinning everything up first and knit later, but life is too short for that. I grabbed the first skeins and just started on a cardigan. The basic shape is a free Isabel Kramer pattern, but I believe I modified every single bit of it. I love the result enough to think I may use this as a template for a lot of my future sweaters. That's fantastic, Eva, and it's beautiful. I can't wait to see it finished. Please make sure that you share this when you're done, because I think it's just fantastic. I love that you can see in here, if you can see my mouse, in here the blending from the yellow to the bluey purple. Isn't that gorgeous? And then you've got these stripes of red to ground the whole thing. I just think it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. This is from Megan. This is not hand spun, but it's her seer cloak. It's done after almost 2 years on the needles. You'd think this would take longer than that, Megan. That's just incredible. Look at that color work down here, that color work band. Incredible. This is the largest thing I've ever made with over 2,000 yards of yarn. Isn't that awesome? Just incredible. And Megan is like the queen of color work. So it's fantastic to see her really showcase her work. This is from Rebecca for the sock colors spin along that she's been hosting. This is kind of an ongoing along that she's been doing. So if you're interested in color and knitting socks and all that kind of stuff and spinning for socks, please join in on this spin along that she's hosting. The links are all in the Ketchup and Pickles post that I linked up above in the live chat. So these are started as a merino silk braid, which was spun into my default and my default nemesis for 51 yarns. They ended up being a fine fingering and a heavy fingering, and I used them both in the same pair of socks, using the thicker fingering for the ball of the foot and the gusset and the heel, and the finer fingering for the rest. This made for a funny look when not on my feet, but they fit just fine. This is just a different idea for making more durable socks, and I'll let you know how it goes. Sorry I haven't been around for a while. And then she goes into other stuff. Cheers and happy spinning. Isn't that fantastic? I love the colors. Look at the colors on this sock. Oh, so just makes my heart sing. And they're very matchy-matchy, because look at this stripe of brown that she got here, and there's a stripe here too. And then there's some stripes up here, and there's some stripes here. Like, they're incredibly close. It's really amazing. Yeah. Lisa says, wow, that cloak is amazing, right? And Christine says, I love that stripy sweater cardigan and find it inspirational when it comes to those many single skeins we spin. I totally agree, Christine. Absolutely. This is from Yelena. I finished this crepe plied sock yarn from Crafty Jack's BFL Mohair in Lakeside. This colorway was one of the original breed and color studies that we did, and it was inspired by a photo that I had shared that Katrina picked up and used of Moose Lake up in northern British Columbia, or maybe it's even Alberta, but I think it's on the BC side. I'm trying to remember as we drive along the highway to Jasper which side it is. I'm pretty sure it's on the BC side. Anyhow, it doesn't matter. It's in that beautiful area of the provinces, and it was the red CN train engine against the bluey green glacier lakes with this gorgeous lime green sort of along the side of the highway where, you know, different wildflowers and grasses and stuff were growing, and then the blue of the sky. It was just one of those incredible photos with all of this stuff happening. And now she's done this beautiful crepe plied sock yarn. So this is also for the color study, the sock color spin along. And she's been spinning these with as much twist as possible. The finished yarn may be dense and feel more like cotton twine, but the sock fabric still feels okay. I do have to be more careful with negative ease, less stretch, but there was some talk about how tightly twisted fibers would actually shred the softer fibers and wear faster. So I'm going to do my other BFL mohair braid with less twist in the singles and compare the results. I think that is an awesome idea. And I've actually been talking to my friend Diana, 100milewear.com, about this. And she was saying that some of her best cabled yarns recently that she's been able to create actually had lower twist in the singles. And then when she went to ply, it wasn't so hard to get all of that twist in that you need to then get the cable ply. So definitely play with that, Yelena, and see what happens. This is from Dana. I played on my blending board last week after watching the video on Ply's YouTube channel and the class from Debbie held on the School of Sweet Georgia. It was really freeing as I learned to add different types of fiber together: wool, silk, superwash merino, BFL, and sari silk. I embraced the spinning, leaving in every bump and trying not to draft out the lumps and bumps too much. Now, I would say about my own spinning that I like to make a very smooth yarn. I took a blending board workshop years ago when they first came on the scene, but I couldn't see myself ever spinning what we made in the class, and I gave it all away. Now, years later, my tastes have changed, and I am planning to have more fun on it, embracing it all. I really like the yarn I created. It's plied with a fleece named Dundee from Shepherd's Hay Farm, a gorgeous Corriedale Rommeldale Romney cross. I ended up with 245 yards of DK weight and think it would be nice to use in the yoke of a sweater. This is beautiful, Dana. I love this. Beautiful. This is from Kathy. This is the SOS Radiant Towels. So the School of Sweet Georgia Radiant Towels. It's a free pattern on the School of Sweet Georgia for members. Meets Twill. Isn't this incredible? Twill. So it's the Radiant Towels, but she's put it with a twill pattern, and they look incredible. I don't know which twill pattern she used. I was wondering if it was Rose Path, but it's hard to tell. So Kathy, if you're watching this, if you could throw in the comments what twill pattern you used, I would love to know. She loves how these turned out. They are beautiful. And she's planning some lighter weight 16-2 cotton for larger towels with a similar approach. Absolutely gorgeous. Nailed it. Now for Spindle Spun Summer, this is from the summer solstice to the evening of the autumnal equinox. So there's been just an unbelievable number of spindling photos shared, and they're so inspiring. So this simple little tool gives no end of hours of just amazingness. So this is from Samantha. This is a new one for me, Spindling on the Train. And she was on her way to meet Rainbow Ange, Yarn and Yarns. She was on Woolen Spinning Radio a while ago. We had a great chat. She had some really great tips for spinning support, for getting started with your support spindling. So definitely go back and check out that episode of Woolen Spinning Radio. It's linked in the index, which is also part of the Ketchup and Pickles post that's linked in the live chat earlier. And you can also look in the show notes, and I'll update that link for a fun-filled day. And they both live in Wales, so that's just fantastic. And I know they had a really good time. This is from Julie. I love these spindles. Look, I did it. Somehow the ideas that these are woolen yarns and basically long draw were lost on me. I made roll legs of dye mops and leftover combing waste. I know, but I had no faith in my abilities to pull this off. But yes, fluffy roll legs made a huge difference. These are my lovely Enid Ashcroft spindles. Beautiful, Julie. With some faith, you got it done. Looks amazing. Look at that. Look at that yarn. It's awesome. This is from Elizabeth. After the wool stream today, I was inspired to finally get around to winding my singles into plying balls. That's what I was doing during the book club meeting. I keep dropping the plying balls and ducking out of the frame to pick them up, and it's Shetland wool. Incredible, Elizabeth, and I hope you show us the finished yarn when you get there. Jackie says, I'm trying to resist the weaving, but it's getting harder and harder seeing all that you do. What fabrics? Yes, join us, says Lisa. So we might not have a team this year for Tour de Fleece, but that doesn't mean that we can't not celebrate with everybody who is spinning. There's a whole bunch of people in our community who aren't actually part of a team. They're rogue spinners. They're just spinning on their own. And so they've been posting in the hashtag general channel on the Slack channel to just share their progress and share what they're working on. So we have some incredibly inspirational photos coming up. Tour de Fleece ends on Sunday, July 24th, which is my son James's birthday. And so just keep the photos coming and we'll keep cheering you guys on. So this is from Diane. Tour de Fleece Day 1 started on a new Jenkins spindle I acquired at the Black Sheep Gathering. Some more lovely silk. I'm going to be spinning this forever. You might, Diane, but it's beautiful. And I love that bowl. And it matches your thing of silk. Like, how beautiful is that? That sliver of silk matches your bowl. It's incredible. It's awesome. That is so cool. So Jackie says, I discovered that my grandmother's nihilist jack which is what I weave on, one of my looms, in my dad's garage. I think my fate is probably sealed. You should put it together and see if you can run it. See if that loom is like fixable, if you can run it. That's fantastic. What a cool find. So this is from Elizabeth. My Tour de Fleece efforts so far started a couple of days before. This is almost the first half of a braid of Rambouillet that I'm planning to do as a 2-ply fractal, and my first real support spindle project. I'm having so much fun. That is awesome. Thank you for sharing. Beautiful singles. Look at those. Aren't they incredible? And I love that you've got them all lined up. It's just awesome. It looks great with that border on your rug there. It's so cool. Or blanket or quilt or whatever. Looks really cool. Very cool photo. This is from Shauna. I finished bobbin 3 of 6 for a combo spin for a sweater. Bobbin 4 has been started, and each finished bobbin has 105 grams of singles. I wish I could estimate how much yardage I might get now, but I'm waiting until all the bobbins are done, and then I can do a 2-ply and a 3-ply sample. Who am I even? You're a spinner, Shauna. That's who you are. That's amazing. I remember when you joined the community, you were just a brand new spinner, and now look at you. Amazing. Incredible. This is from Vicky. Tour de Fleece, I'm not on a team, just playing along for funsies, spinning custom Woolen Mills roving Rambouillet 1 pound. I'm not concerned whether I get through it all. I'm using the tour to get back into the daily practice of spinning. It somehow fell out of my routine and I tend to only spin on Zoom calls now. July 1st, she spun 14 grams. Yesterday, she spun 30. I would have got more done, but I've been busy with other things. Hint, the cake is a lie. That's awesome. This is from Samantha. I love that there are geese. Ducks, geese. Are they geese or are they ducks in the background? So funny. After sitting out last year, not really understanding what Tour de Fleece was, because she's a newer spinner, it is really confusing when you first start. I have gone in full pelt this year. I really want to get some boucle yarn for the Andrea Mowry Morning Rituals jumper done. So here goes. This is just some of the fiber prepped. There is more. This is a Romney Shetland from Fern Hill Fibers. Wish me luck. Of course, Samantha. Good luck. Jackie, you were saying that you need to take lessons. You have no idea what to do. Subscribe to Jane Stafford. That's a great place to start, and watch season 1. She goes over looms, how to get started, getting warped, what you're looking for. It'll just give you an idea and a general, and plan to watch it multiple times. Take notes and really focus on it. Don't have it playing in the background as edutainment. Actually sit down and watch each of the episodes for season 1. It's worth every penny, and it'll just give you an idea and get you started. That's what I was told to do. It worked like a charm. It wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't too much. It'll just give you a really good idea of kind of what you're getting into and if you want to pursue it. This is from Kelly. For Tour de Fleece Day 2, I applied the BFL braid. I think it will be a DK weight in the end, and I think it will be beautiful once I have it finished. It's gorgeous! Look at those colors! I should give you my address. You can send it to me. I'm kidding, but it's beautiful. This is from Dion. More spindles. Yay, more spindles. So today I did a little of my own combo spin, but decided to let my hands relax a bit, and I spindle spun today, and I absolutely enjoyed it. That is beautiful spinning, Dion. I don't know if you're still here, but it is gorgeous. Yeah. Oh, they're your ducks, Sam. That's awesome. They're so cute. This is from Suzanne. I knew you had ducks or geese. I couldn't remember which. This is from Suzanne. End of day 2, about 3 ounces in. I won't be spinning much for the next few days, but I hope to get it plied. At this rate, I'll finish the 12 ounces I've prepped for the tour. That's amazing, Suzanne. Congratulations. And this final one is from Amanda. Tour de Fleece progress from me too. I've made a start on one of my Swedish fine wool fleeces that I had combed up waiting for inspiration. After a quick pass through the drum carder, I'm rolling the bat up like a faux leg and attenuating it as roving. I'm spinning from the roving using a long draw style draft, and at this stage I'm imagining it as a 4-ply with a wonderful future knit into a simple cardigan. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you for all you're doing. And for those who are doing Tour de Fleece, we're all rooting for you. And keep us posted on the progress. Keep your photos coming and all of your inspiration photos and videos and whatever you want to upload to Slack. And I'll keep featuring them here. It's my pleasure to be able to do that. And I love being able to do that. So thank you so much. I think that is it for today. We've gone well over time, which is awesome. I know you guys like the longer shows, and I hope that this finds you all very, very well. I hope that you are all spinning up a storm for Tour de Fleece, that you've got lots of really inspirational things going on at the moment. I will see you here same time at 12 noon Pacific in 2 weeks. On July 19th. I hope that you are able to join us. We also have a Maker Morning coming up tomorrow morning at 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern. So I hope that you will think about joining us for that hour of just making together and chit-chatting and giving an update on what you're doing. I think that's it. So until next time, happy spinning, happy weaving, happy knitting, happy all the things, happy all the fiber making. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. And if you think you have a fiber friend that you might want to share this with, please go ahead and share it. I appreciate that. And if you want to know what's going on this month for all of the fibery goodness and all of the links to everything, if you missed stuff in June and you're a patron and you're trying to get caught up, please make sure that you check the ketchup and pickles post for June. It was linked in the live stream, in the live chat earlier. And it's also in the post associated with this stuff at patreon.com/wool-and-spinning. Wool and spinning. And that link is down below. So you can find that there. And don't forget to tell us what you would do, what you are doing, what you've done in the past for Tour de Fleece. And if you're going over to Patreon anyways, throw a comment in the comment box. So until then, happy spinning. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. And don't ever hesitate to get in touch in the meantime. Bye, everyone.